Alrighty, I am going to do a demonstration and a review of several really cool things. So, I'll probably have to start and stop this several times. But what I've got is this guide. I have these extremely cool pens, and I have a guide I bought. Now, truth be told, I had some of these things before, not the exact same things, but I had a guide before, and in the many moves that Dr. Games has made, it is no longer with us. I had an old ruler guide, I don't know where it is either, but this is a cooler one. This is definitely an upgrade. So you'll need, if you're going to do calligraphy, and I'll show you kind of basically how to lay it out, this whole it's going to be divided into reviews of pieces of this as well, like the guide and the lettering guide and the actual pens. But it's also going to be kind of an introduction to calligraphy. So the whole thing, the long thing, is going to be shown on YouTube. The individual pieces are going to be on sites that do reviews of things. So you're going to get the whole kit and caboodle. You may see a mashup / a cut-up version of this in other places. So the one thing that's missing out here is my pencil. I've got a mechanical pencil somewhere here nearby. Just got to find it. Is that it? All right, I think so. Let's see if it is. Yep. Okay. So you'll need a mechanical pencil. You'll need this guide, or you'll need paper. Notice this is pretty large paper. This isn't a little 4x6 or 8.5 by 11 or even 11 by 17. This is big, because if you're going to do calligraphy work, you want to be able to show off your work in a larger venue. So first thing we'll do is we'll mark off. Look at it, brand new, and I'm just taking the wrapper off of this 2 by 18 inch ruler with easy grip knob, kind of like Kung Fu grip, but different. And so obviously that's 18 inches by 15 inches, and we could measure that. So what we're going to do is, the first thing I always do when I do calligraphy is I mark off the margins, and usually you try to do it in a proportional way. So on this end, I'm going to do 1 inch. Just put 1 inch there. And on this side, I'm going to do 1 inch away, but then I'm going to do 1.5 inches, because that's going to be where I'm going to do some scroll work, okay? So now we'll go all the way up to the top end of this, and I'll line it up again. And a nice thing about this is it starts right at the edge. You can verify, because it's transparent, that it's the same measurement. So we'll go 1 inch in, same as before. We'll go 1.5 inches over. That brings us to here. And we'll do 1 inch in for the right margin. And I'm just going to very, very lightly, I'm going to go ahead and make that margin. Because the thing about calligraphy is we're not computers, we're people, and we're going to use our eye to do a lot of things, and then pretty good. I mean, so that's consistently 1 inch. And obviously we're going to have 2 sets of lines here. One's going to be that outer mark. Actually, I'll do it this way so I don't get in the way of the camera. Actually, I would do it the other direction if it was just me left to my own devices. There we go. And once again. So for this bit of it, I don't have it all taped down, etc., because I don't really need to. At this point, I can put everything I can into holding in place. And then we probably want to do the top and the bottom too. I'm going to say, just from a proportion standpoint, that I am going to do, let's say 1.5 inches on top and 2 inches on the bottom. So this tells us kind of where to stop and how to make proportional things. So again, 1.5 up on top, 2 inches on the bottom. Again, because it's very well marked. And by the way, this little feature of this handle in the middle, I looked at it and I said, but actually, really, really useful. Really, really useful. So whoever's doing this and whoever designed it is somebody who truly, truly does probably involve themselves in craft activities or artistic endeavors. Now, I'm making light lines. Why am I making light lines? Because at the end of the day, in calligraphy, we're going to take a white eraser. I recommend against that rather than a pink eraser, because this tends to take the lines off better, more cleanly. So, first part of this, the review of this particular 2 by 18 inch by Cottage Mills, 5 stars. This is really, really nice. By the by, it's imprinted on the back, so it's not going to wear away easily, and it just has a lot of nice aspects to it. Because you can see through it, you can line things up internally. It's very, very nice. I really like this ruler, and I'm going to use this all the time. All right. So now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to tape it down, because my next step is going to be to use the lettering guide. And maybe I probably should do another, I should probably do another video about calligraphy and the parts of letters and things. So, truth is, Dr. Games is someone who's been doing calligraphy a long, long, long time. In fact, let's see, what year is this? See, that's it gets scary. Back in 1994, so what is that? This is 2020, so that was 26 years ago. I actually used to run a little side business where I would do things like little certificates and that type of thing. And I actually, I made a decent amount of money doing that. Eventually just ran out of time, though. I couldn't do everything. All right, this is not in a resealable pouch. This is the Alvin Lettering Guide. It says since 1950. It's probably true. So we're going to cut that out of its little bag, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to put it back in a bag. You'd need another little pouch or something to put it in if you want to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do it so that I might be able to put it back in there, just so it's harder for me to lose. Not impossible, but harder. So what all does the lettering guide come with? Yeah, you're seeing a real world struggle here. All right. So just a basic description of it. All right. So let me go through and do a bit of a review of this. So what you're going to see is that you have a base, and that is going to be used up against the base of whatever we're using it to draw with. Also, if you look at how you slant your letters, typically if you do italics, they're slanted this way. And there's 2 sets of stuff, right? So first we have these very evenly spaced holes. So if we wanted to just produce a grid pattern, we would go ahead and just put our pencil in here and draw it. But the part that we're going to use is here. And what you do with that is there's a little guide mark here, and we're going to figure out how wide we want to space those, and how wide we want to space the letters, and it varies from extremely wide, from 10 millimeters, and then goes to not very much spacing at all on the other end. And you can see that here. So here we go. We're going to, I'm going to put it at about, you know what, I actually like relatively widely spaced letters. So you line it up here, You line it up there, and now we're there's several sets of holes. So there's the I'll just demonstrate. So what it is it's got the bottom, it's got the hole that you would put for the minuscules or small letters, and then the majuscules or large letters are up at the top. And what you want to do at this point is, now sometimes when I've done this in the past, I've actually marked out where all the letters are going to be in advance. So this is going to be a special majuscule all the way up at the top. Notice it's 1.5 inches by, I'm going to make it 2 inches here. And then I'm going to go 2 inches on the other side, and that's where our first line is going to be. And then I'll show you, maybe I'll show you a trick. Let's see, make sure. Yep, that squares right there like that. All right. And this is going to be our first line that we're going to fill out with this guide. So again, there's 2 versions of it. You can use the kind of small ones here. I'm actually going to use the big one over here, and I'll show you what that looks like. Well, I digress. It depends on what size of pen you're using. Really, the size of your guide things ought to be dependent on the size of the pen you're using. And to that extent, I'm going to be using something smaller. So we'll go ahead and we'll just mark off, let's see, how many lines of text do you think we'll need? What? No answer? All right. I'm just going to do every 2 inches all the way down. You'll see in a minute why I do that. And again, this is, you're just looking for, you're just looking to set up your guidelines and to have some kind of a consistent framework. And the other thing about calligraphy is a lot of people, they like particular hands, like they'll have italic or they'll have Roman or Gothic, but you know, that's fine. Learning how to do all of those, and Margaret Shepard she's kind of the pop culture expert in calligraphy. She has a bunch of really cool books on this, but what I found is I've just created my own hand, and people like it, you know, and it's kind of unique. They're not going to get it from somewhere else, and you're not going to see it on a computer. Although that's another topic. At some point, I should also teach you guys how to use Font Forge, which is really cool. So you can take, if you're a prosumer, a semi-professional calligrapher, you can take your hand and you can do it in boxes, and you can put that into Font Forge, and then forever thereafter in TrueType font, you can have your very, very, very own font. But if you're going to do that, you ought to do the ligatures and all of the things that go with it, and that gets to be, that's a 5-hour activity, just for the record. once you start off with your thing, if you want it to look really, really nice. All right. So now I've got my guidelines drawn. I'm going to use those. I got to hold this in place, and I'm going to go back and forth. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. And the nice thing is I'm going to line this up internally here. Let's see. I reveal my age. You're going to see me. You hardly ever see me in a video, but in this one you're going to see me. And so I've used the internal lines on this to come up with this, and then I am going to use this guide, and I'm going to go back and forth, and this is how we're going to decide how we actually make our letters. Very, very cool. Alright, and then we'll do this top. And the bottom line is extremely, extremely accurate. It's all exactly the same, and you can recreate that. You can do this all the way down the page.
all the way down the page. So you have a consistent spacing on your letters. So there, and that's that again. And teachers all lined up. Yeah. All right, I'm going to do it again. Same set of 5 holes. And the other thing is, it's not perfect. You ever look at an old manuscript that's actually done by a monk or somebody who's working in manuscript recording? Not perfect, not perfect. Lots and lots and lots of mistakes. Did not look like a computer thing at all. No, just one more. So just to demonstrate. So let's see, get lined up. Okay, perfect. We'll go here. 1%.
So soup to nuts, all of everything you see before you, less than $20. Less than $20. And you're really gonna potentially create a work of art that people appreciate. So just a quick review of the guideline drawer. Works perfect, a variety of different ways you can use it. The only thing I would say is it's a little stiff. This part here, I had one of these previously, probably 25 years ago. Same company, actually. And this one's just, it's a little tight. That can be good or bad. It's good in that you're not going to vary the lines because it's accidentally going to fall out of alignment. The downside is it was pretty tough. I guess something you can do is pull away a little bit on these to move it, but that would be the only thing. I'd say 4 stars. It's a great product, a little hard to use, but if you need a guide, this is the way to do it. Of course, you could always just draw the guides, but this is speeds things up by a factor of 3 probably. All right, and now let's take a look at the hand lettering set. These are hand lettering pens by a company called Sun Shilor. It's a Chinese company, and right here in the front they tell you what the different ones are. So the ones that have millimeters are flat. So you would use those for calligraphy kinds of things. So I'll take one off. It's a small one, and it's a chisel tip on it. So if I want to do a really small calligraphy hand, like Gothic, let's say, I might do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 3 millimeter. Relatively small, but I'm just gonna write out I'm gonna see how it writes, and then I'll do a little bit of illumination here off the side. So the way I'm gonna do this is, alright, so if you can see what I did is, for my hand, I held it at about a 45. This is not strictly Gothic or italic, but I used the top as the majuscule. I used the difference between the 2 bottom lines for the trails and serifs, and then I used the difference in the middle 2 lines for the minuscules or the small letters, and I could very, very consistently go through and do that. Let's try. So you got a brush pen. We'll save that. We're going to try the medium pen, and I'm going to try to do a little bit of illumination off the side. So I'm going to make just kind of a vine-like pattern. Alright, so that went okay. And now we're going to try to use the brush and put these on there. Okay, so that was like, it actually looks like a little brush. In one part you call this a liner. So it's the same kind of shape as a liner. Again, I'm not going to be perfect because it's not designed to be a permanent piece of art. I just want to see how the general these pens work. I had little kinds of pens, all the way from dip pens, temperature pens, to the nylon tip ones that you can get at a place like Michael's or etc. I'm just trying to see what it's like. Alright, that's okay. And then I'm going to finish up with the small one. So I would say it's probably 4 stars. Probably 4 stars. It's okay. It clearly is, you're not getting a lot of ink out on this. I've had pens that you would get a lot more ink out that would have really eaten up the situation and done very well. This is not It's okay. It's okay. You get first of all, you get a variety of these things. It's less than $20. It's permanent ink. That's nice as well. I mean, it's good and it's bad, right? It means that it's going to last for a while. It means also that you can paint on top of it, which is pretty nice. So once this dries, still got to dry, but once it dries, then I was gonna put a majuscule S in there. So let's go ahead and see if I can do a big majuscule S in here in kind of Stott's hand. If you look at it, it's not flat across. It's actually tipped down, so it's designed to be held at about looks like a 45-degree angle. So let's. That's important too. Get to know your tools. Okay, I mean, I could work with these. Again, the ink flow, not as much as I normally would expect to see on a calligraphy pen, but sufficient to do it. If you're a starter and you're trying to get a generic set of pens that can do a whole variety of things, this is not a bad starter set. All right, so there we go. What I may do, if you're interested for the YouTube version of this, that's going to be the whole thing soup to nuts, let me know if you're interested in having me do a series on calligraphy. I've actually done a lot of it over the years. I think it's a lost skill, so if you work in theater, or if you're a gamer and you're a game master and you want to produce cool props, or if you just want to make something really nice for your friends and family for special occasions, I think calligraphy is an awesome way to go. It's a lost art. It's easy to do, and there's a whole lot going for it in terms of it's inexpensive. It's kind of therapeutic as you do it. It's calming because you're doing these repeated actions in an artistic kind of way. Anyway, I'm a big fan of calligraphy. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.